Hey, it's Dark 30, and I'm here to talk about Angeles City, Philly in the Philippines, of course. The king. Who's gonna be the king? Who's gonna kiss the ring like Scotty Boy did? Funny video I didn't know about. Regular guy gets on his knees and kisses the ring of the Godfather, and the interesting thing to me was the choice of words. He plays a clip of Philly in the Philippines denigrating him. And the funny thing is the choice of words Philly uses there, he just really goes after the guy, trying to emasculate him, trying to be dominant, trying to be the alpha. Because, I'm a beta according to him. I'm a beta simp, right? But if you really study and understand alphas, betas, and all that shit, an alpha never acts that way. They're very fierce and very strong, and they attack the strongest, kind of like the you got exposed guy, but Philly won't attack him because he's too strong. Philly goes after the weak. He goes after the small channels, and he'll talk shit about people like Tim K who won't fight back, won't get a lawyer and such, but he won't go after the strong. But I will say it's been a busy couple crazy days, but I found some legit American junk food, and this is straight from America. So I've been craving chocolate milk. Do you know I couldn't find chocolate milk anywhere for months, and legitimate chocolate milk. I've been just craving it. So I found a place, had some Anthony's pizza, very happy about that. Got some other good products from America that you can't normally find in Asia. Very happy. So, who's going to be the next king? Who's going to be the next Philly? Who's going to be the next Godfather? My guess is there won't be. And if there is, it'll be very short-lived. Because, and this is what happens when you're a bubble boy, right? When you live in one place and you don't really pay attention to the rest of the world, you don't pay attention to what other people are doing, you kind of miss trends, right? And you miss trends like bad customer service sends people to other places, right? So when you look around the world, think about it this way. How much money does the Philippines spend on tourism, on advertising tourism? How much money do they spend? Do they want Philly and the Philippines and all these other sexpat people out there branding the Philippines as a brothel? Or do they want to control the narrative of how the Philippines is seen around the world? If I were working at the Department of Tourism, I would not want people like Philly out there promoting sexual tourism to the Philippines. And I've already, clearly laid out that he has. And even worse, and this is what people aren't getting about him and Goldfinger, right? Is they're creating the standard. So when Goldfinger's out there, and I made a video about Goldfinger, to highlight, don't be this guy, have a plan for your life. Don't be this guy where you just wander around, let me fucking do it, right? But he broadcast to 30,000 people in that one video, and it'll probably end up being 50 or 100, by the time it gets taken down, is it's okay to go to the Philippines and e-bag to spend money if you think it's a good idea. Just because you think it's a good idea means it's a good idea, right? Not whether it actually is a good idea or not. But he told the world, and all these guys, Old Dog's channel is all about teaching people how to come to the Philippines. Great channel. I recommend it all the time. He's an upstanding guy. But in that instance, Goldfinger got on there and said, come to the Philippines, beg, and hand money out. Or helmets or whatever, right? By grabbers. So, what is Philly telling the world? Philly's told the world for the last 8 years, whatever, that hey, come to the Philippines and walk around with your camera and shoot video of girls and call them, advertise them as being available for sale. When you put up things like sex tourism and I went to the police station and it is your right. You legally have the right to walk down the street with a camera. And now you get people, to his credit, our Philippine journey is like, hey, he's calling out this one guy. I don't even know the guy, but it may be the guy who shoved a camera in my face. But he's calling out one guy. This guy's going to get beat up. This guy's going to get hit, right? Because he's just shoving a camera in people's faces. Why is he doing that? Because Philly told the world for years, this place is all about sexual tourism, and this place, it's okay to run around and be an asshole with a camera. It's the law. It's the law. Follow the law. You can run around with a camera. So what's the answer here? Answer is real simple for the Philippines. You look around the world. California, I hate to say this, but there are a few good things that come out of California. And I wouldn't say this is a good thing, but it's a useful thing to deal with the lowest common denominator. And when you have people like Philly out there chasing women with cameras, using hidden cameras for 5 years, you end up with the lowest common denominator filtering into places like Angeles City to do the same, right? So, fresh Tostitos. Man, I was craving chips and salsa and chocolate milk. So happy I found these. So what are they doing in California? In order to film outside in many cities for commercial purposes, not for personal, but for commercial purposes, you have to have a permit. If you're going to post anything online, if you're going to make a movie, if you're going to do this, do that, you have to have a permit. You have to go to the city and get a permit, and there's all these little red tape things, right? It won't be long before the Philippines decides they want to stop this freelance marketing of sexual tourism by these YouTubers. And they're just this will be one step that they can take. They can go out and say, hey, stop. You post anything, you're getting a strike on your passport, you're getting fined, and, we're going to sue YouTube to take it down. Anything outside in this area, Angeles City, Tourist Zone, Cebu, Tourist Zone, Makati, any slums, right? All they have to do is go put up signs. No commercial videoing allowed. No commercial photography. And any stills or anything like that, they can just use it. It's posted for commercial purposes, i.e. monetized on YouTube. They'll just take it down and fine you or give you a strike or just persona non grata. There's the exit. Go. Then they'll probably go after a few big YouTubers for defamation to make sure people understand it's not okay to advertise sexual tourism using women without their permission. So they'll go find a couple cases. There'll be a couple civil cases or maybe criminal cases. Most likely it'll be a couple civil cases, and the civil cases will be pretty substantial. Wasn't there just a lawsuit that got settled about somebody? Yeah, I think there was. Maybe some people should pay attention to what's going on. And then they'll do what Japan does. Japan has a lot of laws about photography. And you're out there in Harajuku, and there's signs all over, no photography. And if you get caught taking pictures or posting pictures or anything like that, you can be held accountable. And that's the law. Decency, act with good morals, and you won't have problems. But the problem is people don't act with good morals. People act like other people. People act like asses, right? And it always filters down to the lowest common denominator. And what happens when you have somebody for, especially through the lockdown, right? All these chuckleheads watched Philly. As he went and explored the law, I talked to a lawyer and I can film. I did this, I did that. And he just empowered all these chuckleheads and inspired all these chuckleheads. And, so that's my estimation is the Philippines is going to get real tired of being branded as a sexual tourism destination. They're going to get real tired of these freelance marketers working for the customers instead of the businesses of Walking Street, getting paid by the customers. It's this weird thing, right? But the answer, is just going to be, how do we deal with this? What's the fastest way to deal with this? How do we put a stop to it? And how do we not waste so much money on our tourism, Department of Tourism, when these guys are over here undermining our Department of Tourism for years? It's real simple and easy, right? You just go out there and slam a few. You body slam a few, and they become the warning for everyone else. I had a grandmother, and it was funny because we had a bunch of birds in our garden when I was a little kid, right? And she said the way to do it is you just knock off a few of those birds and you hang them by the feet around the garden, and all the other birds will stay away. And it's an old trick farmers used to use, way back in the day. And we never did it. But it was just funny because, Grandma was old and little. But she kept saying, just hang them by their feet. It was the funniest thing. But that's what the Philippines could do to get the narrative back in their control of how they want the Philippines to be branded around the world, and not branded as this place to go chase women. And you start looking at people who are out there doing silliness, right? And I think it's sad, and I think it's funny at the same time. I think it's sad that people don't understand these things, and I think it's funny that they're out there like, I'm just doing what people want. I'm just putting up the people want. Okay, but you're the guy doing it. You're the guy filming the content, calling your customers the beater boys, calling your customers the Jergens squad, and you're out there like supplying it. It's like if a guy were raising cattle for, hamburgers, and he's a vegan and he's chastising meat eaters to be vegans, right? I'm a vegan, you shouldn't eat red meat. Oh, but by the way, I got some fresh hamburger here for you, because I raised these cows and now we've got fresh hamburger, but you shouldn't eat red meat, you're a bad man. That's Philly, right? But yeah, I think eventually the Department of Tourism will just go to Angeles City and say, hey, look, here's some laws that other people use, and if you do this, then these guys won't be walking around harassing people, they won't be following locals around with cameras, it'll stop all the craziness and all the drama, and it will let us, the Department of Tourism, do our job better, because we won't have to constantly combat this sexual tourism advertising going on. So who's going to be in the next Philly? I think Philly screwed it for everybody. I don't think there will be a next Philly. I think there'll be people who still make content. There'll be people who still do this or do that. But I don't think there will be another Philly. I think that's my opinion. And Japan just banned tourists on some streets. Just banned tourism. Think about that. Now that's a salacious clickbait phrase that's used in a couple dozen videos. And what it really comes down to is there are certain areas in Japan where there are streets that you can't walk down anymore as a tourist. Set foot on that street or crowd around the entrance to it, and you're probably going to get a ticket, if not go to jail. Because if you resist or argue, you may go to jail. And it would be an easy thing for the Philippines to, learn from that, not directly, but learn from the concept, right? How do we have a problem? How do we deal with it? Boom. So don't be surprised when you wake up and signs go up around Angeles City saying this is a permit required to film for commercial purposes outside, or no filming allowed, or anything of that nature, because that's the answer the Philippines is more than likely going to end up with, simply because it solves their problems and puts a lot of these chuckleheads out of business. Philippines always likes attention. They always like advertising, but when you're advertising sexual tourism, it's not necessarily what they want. What happened to Friendship Park? What happened to different areas in Cebu? What happened to different areas in Manila? Right? Even Philly himself was online one day warning his customers not to go down to this part of town because the cops are doing stings. Shh, don't go down there. They're running stings, right? They're running stings down there. So don't go down there. Not that that's, against the law or anything, impeding the barangay there from achieving their goals of catching bad guys. Not that that's against, I don't know in the Philippines. I know in other countries it's against the law to directly impede law enforcement operations. Like you can't go online and say, hey, there's a DUI checkpoint over here, or hey, they're running a sting over there. But that's Philly. He does what he wants, and doesn't seem to care. Me, no skin off my teeth. It is what it is. Philippines is going to do what they're going to do, but that's what I think is coming. I'm pretty confident that they'll come out with some laws saying you can't video. They'll go after a couple of the big dogs. I mean, if you're running around the camera or the country promoting, it's a good place to meet 18-year-olds. That's not a good look for the Philippines, right? And if you're running around with a hidden camera or taking videos and posting pictures of women with phrases like, what kind of sex pet are you? Posting pictures of women, even just video of them walking away. Hey, this is a good Jergens moment, right? Without their permission. I think there's some defamation going on there. I think there's some cyberbullying going on there. And it won't be long before the Philippines wants to make an example of a few big dogs, because how do you steer a herd? You take out the leaders and then you step in front and you go again. So I imagine the Department of Tourism will take out some of these leaders, and they'll step in front of branding the Philippines to the rest of the world, right? Pushing their brand, not what these chuckleheads are leading people to believe. They'll push out what the Philippines wants to be seen as. And it's good. It's very good. So I don't think there will be another Philly in the Philippines. Pretty confident that the Philippines will get tired of this and just be going like, you imagine some guy at a barangay or some guy at the thing, he's going, did you see this other video? What do we do? And they've got work to do. And this other shit is just bubbling up. These tourists with cameras or locals with cameras, local, not locals, they're permanent visas. No visas permanent. But you've got all these people from, that don't embrace the values of the Philippines at their core. And because they weren't born and raised there, and they don't understand the culture really, no matter how long you live there. And so you've got all these people with cameras out there branding the Philippines, marketing the Philippines as a sexual tourism destination. And, I just imagine somebody at the Department of Tourism or, the government just going, I can't believe these knuckleheads are doing this. Why? I've got shit to do, and I'm going to have to do something here. It's going to take my time. And they're going to go, what's the quickest way to solve this problem for me? What's the quickest way to solve this problem for me? You need a permit to film outside. Defamation, right? Or whatever phrase you want to use, right? And they'll take a couple of the big dogs out so everybody else is scared to ever put a picture of a Filipina without a signed consent form anywhere online and make any sort of reference about anything sexual. A couple of big lawsuits, a couple of big headlines, and, time in jail or financial restitution or anything like that. And everybody in the world will go, oh, I'm not doing that. Just like in Japan, when you walk up to a stoplight and there's no traffic anywhere. The walk sign says, don't walk. It's got these little dots that tell you how long, kind of like Philippines has the timer. And so you're sitting there and it's full of, red dots are full. So it's going to be a long wait. And you're looking. It's 6:30 in the morning. There's no traffic. But there's a local standing here. I'm not crossing it. And there'll be nobody the whole time. Like you don't even hear a car. Don't even see a car. And you still wait for the crosswalk. Why? Because that's what Japan wants. It's not like Berkeley where you just walk out in front of traffic, without a crosswalk or a light or anything, and traffic slams to a stop. Here, there's no traffic, and you still wait for the crosswalk because that's the standard. And how did Japan set it? I don't know. I don't want to know. But eventually, or I'm sure in the past, they made an example out of somebody and taught everybody that this is, what's expected. And Philippines, the government is going to eventually teach people what is expected when they go online and market the Philippines to the world. I mean, they had no problem blacklisting tourists or celebrities. And do you think a couple of YouTubers matter to them? No. They're going to be good examples of what not to do. And they're just going to hammer them hard. And everybody else will snap in line and go, oh, I'm never putting a picture next to of a woman with words like, age of consent is 16. I'm never putting that thumbnail up because that guy did it and he went to jail 30 days. You want to do 30 days in a Philippine jail? I don't. You want to get fined? You want to get broke? I've got all this money. I'm living high and high. Oh, I'm broke. Yeah. So I think that's what's going to happen. It's just a matter of time as to when it happens, but I don't see any good reason for the Philippines not to do it because they're losing money. They're spending all this money on marketing tourism, and it's being branded in the wrong way, right? I mean, try and tell your boss you're going to Amsterdam and you're, 3 years ago or 5 years ago and you weren't going to get high, right? Amsterdam was known for getting high. Nowadays, you tell people you're going to the Philippines, and they're like, oh, you're going there for the girls. Tell people I'm going to Italy, they don't say, oh, you're going there for the girls. I tell people I'm going to Malaysia, oh, you're going there for the girls? No, I don't get that. But when I tell people I'm going to the Philippines, they're like, oh, you're going there for the girls, huh? It's like, no. Have you seen the beaches? I haven't been to the mountains yet. I want to go to the mountains. There's like a ton of places I want to go. I'm not going to tell you all of them because I don't want you to be there. I want to be able to get a cheap hotel. But there's a ton of places in the Philippines that have nothing to do with girls that I want to go see and do. And, but I tell people I'm going to the Philippines and they assume it's for the girls. And that's because of all the marketing done by these YouTube bums, these jerks, right? So I think that's how the Philippines is going to respond. And they'll take back control of the branding of the Philippines internationally. And, it will start to be branded like it should be, a beautiful, friendly place to visit. And it will take away a lot of the animosity inside these cities between tourists and the guys there seeing women being followed. I mean, think about it. If your daughter or sister or cousin, is on somebody's YouTube thumbnail with, words implying she's for sale, how happy would you be? Or just a YouTuber talking, he was on my Philippine journey. I've been watching him a lot lately. There's a guy, I think it was on there. It may not have been, but there was some guy saying, I feel sorry for the fool that tries to date my 16-year-old. Well, imagine if your 16-year-old's on a thumbnail, even walking away, everybody in the community knows who it is. If they remember tourists year after year, they know who the locals are. The people that walk that street every day. So, but imagine if you're that guy and that, family member or friend is on that YouTube channel and it says, some remark about walking street or, women being for sale, and, people are making fun of her, the family's, upset, and now, you're out there in a trike trying to pick up these fat assholes. It's like, no, you're going to be a rude, mean guy. There's going to be that tension, that hostility. And it was all created because some asshole took a photo of somebody without her consent and put it online. And, it doesn't have to have a face to be very clear who it is. And I think that's the fallacy of expats that live there. When you live in small communities, you know who everybody is. It's just interesting. But yeah, I don't think there will be another Philly. I think Philly ruined it, and you'll still be able to do, restaurant, hotel reviews and all that stuff and talk about culture or events. But I think they're going to put a stop to filming outdoors for commercial purposes. And, so be it. I don't think they'll do it around the entire country because why would they, right? But they will definitely start to take control of the narratives, and they'll control the narratives by going after people for disparaging the Philippines. Pretty simple. Y'all have a great day. I got to get packed, get on the road. It's been a busy week for me. I haven't even turned on my computer in 2 days, so oh well.